Welcome back to another Wulpack podcast. It's been a while, but we're back and we are here with Rinus. So Rinus, please introduce yourself and tell us what car you drive.
Hi guys, name is Rinus Bester from Soul Fuel Offroad. So the car currently standing behind me, I think doesn't require any introduction. It's a 1997 Toyota Land Cruiser 80 series. It's the 4.2 factory turbo diesel, the 24 valve.
Nice. So before we continue, I just want to say a big thank you to All Terrain 4x4. We are at their facilities filming this at the moment. And there's usually a better view at the back, but because of all the fires, there's a lot of smoke in the area at the moment. So yeah, thank you to them, Francois, them and Trevor for letting us use this premises today. Okay, so let's get started. Rinus, tell us, where did your interest for 4x4ing in the off-road scene start? Where did you get your love for that?
That's actually it's a bit of a loaded question because it started way back, long before 4x4 and overlanding, camping, all that. So basically, it's a very long story, but to cut it short, so our love for adventure and the outdoors and camping and remote exploring and all that actually came from motorcycles.
Oh.
So we were heavily into the GS adventure. So myself and my wife.
Oh, okay.
It came from my family on my dad's side. So they were always jumping on the bikes. I mean, they will sometimes in the 1st of December, they'll jump on the bike, fully packed camping gear, all that. And they'll just disappear, and you'll see them maybe on the 15th, 18th of Jan. And then you find out they've been, no plan, no nothing, just Namibia, Botswana, all those places, yeah. So it's, that's how we got into it. And basically, my dad got me my first bike and dropped me off at Centurion Mall in Johannesburg with a pack of CVs, and he said, I'll buy you the bike, but if you want to ride the bike, you have to work to get fuel. And I'm actually still, to this day, very grateful for that because it taught me a whole bunch of other things in life. But yeah, so that's how we got into it. So from the 650 GS, we started with, well, at that time it wasn't I was still in school. So short trips with my dad, camping trips. BMW had massive events each year that you can go and join, and they take you on specific routes, green routes, yellow routes, red routes, so depending on whatever your skill level is. And yeah, and from there you just progress. So met my wife, obviously got her into the whole thing. She had no choice. she had no choice. She had to tag along. And yeah, and that's where basically everything started, from trying to figure out how to get the smallest kind of gear to put in the motorcycle. I think that was the biggest challenge. So we always used to shop at hiking places, small little coffee cups, small little everything small.
Much packing space on the bike.
Exactly. So and we eventually got to a point where she was so comfortable that I actually had a strap that I could strap her against my waist, and we were, let's say, doing a trip Joburg to Durban to visit my mom and
Oh wow.
She'll sleep. She'll put the music or Daughtry or whatever on in the helmet, and yeah, she'll just fall asleep. Yeah.
You say, so you originally from Pretoria, Joburg?
That's it, yeah. Yes.
How did you grow up there?
Yeah, so basically my whole life I've been in Centurion, that area, Pretoria, Centurion. So yeah, I think we were there, what am I now, 34, so yeah, almost 31 years, yeah, it's basically my whole life.
So only recently moved down to Cape Town?
Yeah, it's about going into 4 years now. Yeah.
Nice. And you enjoying it down here?
Yeah. Look, yeah, we're still getting used to the wind and the winters, definitely the winters, because it's definitely not the same up there.
True.
And we do miss the thunder, as strange as it might sound, but yeah, we do miss the thunder sounds rumbling in the evenings. But yeah, so far it's been lekker.
So when I got to learn, or when you introduced yourself to me initially, you were still driving the VW Amarok.
That's it, yeah, that's correct.
So was that the first car you went to after the bikes?
Yeah, no. So basically from there, my motorcycle journey basically stopped when we found out we were pregnant with our first child, so my daughter. She's now 4 years old. So what happened is we found out on the day, I think it's about between 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So my wife told me we're pregnant, obviously massive, excited and all that. And that same day, around between 4 or 5 o'clock, my GS was on the floor at one of the BMW dealerships, and it was actually sold 40 minutes after that, it was gone.
Wow.
So I just said, listen, now we're getting kids and busy building a family. So from there we basically stopped with the adventure thing a little bit. So we, family SUVs. I had a Land Rover Discovery 4. Yeah, lovely car. I still miss that car to this day. But yeah, so that's basically, and then it was the whole COVID thing.
And then you went to the Amarok after that?
Yeah, so basically my dad and them actually, they keep a close eye on all the news channels and all that, specifically international news channels. So they were actually warning us way ahead of time that there's something coming, there's something coming. Now look, at that time, that discovery was, we bought it brand new, it had one massive installment, which was fine at the time, but he then said, listen, you think it's a good idea to just maybe flog it while we still have some time, because this thing's going to be big.
Yeah.
And luckily, it's just, something I don't always do, but I listened. And I said, okay, so sold it. And we actually went down to a small little Polo, because like I said, the baby was still small. So we added only one car, small Polo, and that's how we got through COVID. And then I think COVID was almost at its end. Not at its end, but it was starting to dull down a little bit. And when all the interest rates and everything crashed and all that, so that's basically when I bought the Amarok.
Oh wow, nice. And then you were initially called Rockstar Adventures because of the Amarok.
Yeah.
Amarok.
Yes.
So tell us.
Amarok Star.
Yeah. So tell us where the name came from, and then why you changed the name to Soul Fuel.
Okay, so basically, just to give a small little background on that, what happened is when I bought the VW Amarok, it was not with the intention of doing overlanding or 4x4. I wanted a nice bakkie, because a man wants a bakkie, and I wanted a fast one and a strong one. So at the time, the Amarok, obviously, for me, ticked all those boxes.
Yeah.
So bought the bakkie. Then everything, while we were still staying in Joburg, was pretty much just using it as a normal bakkie, family thing. And then the whole move came, that we moved down to Cape Town and all that, and that's obviously when I started seeing all these Instagram channels and Dieterpay and Van Ventures and Zombie Offroad, and I was like, what's all these things? So I started following them, and I actually realized that the amount of opportunity we have in Cape Town, let's say if we call it a 2 to 3 hour radius from the main city, was actually quite a lot. And I just started following a whole bunch of these pages, and I slowly started getting into the thing where I said, okay, well, maybe that's a good idea to continue the whole adventure thing while we still have a family and obviously growing our family. So obviously the kids can't join on the motorcycle, but we can do something like this, we can do it together. So that's when I started kitting out the Amarok, and I started building up suspension and doing all the tires and all that. And then obviously I saw all the handles, like I said, Van Ventures, Zombie Offroad, all that. So I thought, okay, well, at the time I didn't think it was going to go very far. So I said, well, let's just give it a name. And I actually have a friend in Joburg. He drives an Amarok still to this day with a little star sticker next to the badge. And that's Amarok Star. And basically that's where Rockstar, and I just added the adventures. Yeah. So I didn't think too much about it. I just wanted a separate page to keep obviously all these kind of travel stuff separate from my personal page. And that's where the name basically started. And
why did you change it now to Soul Fuel?
Yeah, so that was a very difficult decision to do, because obviously a lot of people start knowing you, and you spend some money, you do custom number plates, and you do embroidering on your seats and t-shirts and clothing and all that. So it was a difficult decision, but I think ultimately I realized that the reason why we chose Rockstar Adventures was because of the Amarok.
Yeah.
So we'll discuss it a bit later, but I sold the Amarok and I went over to the Cruiser. So the Rockstar name for me, the attachment that I had to it was pretty much only the bus. It was only the Amarok. Nothing linked to camping or whatever we're trying to do now. And I always pondered about the Soul Fuel Offroad name. Not so much off-road, but I wanted to do something with Soul Fuel. Because I think pretty much that's what this whole lifestyle is all about. So you get people...
Fuels the soul.
Exactly that. And I think what happens is that we sit in our homes and in our offices and everything all day, so we basically deplete our cup little bit. So we go out, we camp, we explore, we 4x4, and obviously the whole, the whole vibe and environment that comes with it, that basically fuels your soul. So the Soul Fuel Offroad is pretty much exactly that.
Nice.
It's fuel for the soul, yeah.
Very cool. So how does the Amarok compare to the 80 series, and why did you decide to switch?
Okay, so I did completely different worlds. I can tell you that much. Yeah, we've been on a few trails together, so you know when I'm calling on the radio saying, Dieter, I need a quick spot here, please.
Completely different vehicles.
Yeah, no, completely. So I think the main thing for me was the aim was never to switch. So the initial plan was to buy the 80 series and to keep the Amarok, because the Amarok was already fully kitted. I literally just needed a tent, but it had everything else. So that was the overlanding / comfortable turnkey touring vehicle, and this was supposed to be the project car.
Okay.
And what happened, obviously life happened and some stuff in our personal lives, whatever, and we had to sell the Amarok. So that was pretty much like we didn't have a choice. So sold the Amarok, and then all of a sudden overnight the 80 series became my daily driver, and that's when things started getting interesting. Because normally when you buy these cars, obviously those days, and I mean up until today as well, I can understand people saying, listen, it's a bulletproof car, it's solid, there's nothing breaks, blah, blah. But each and every car, petrol, diesel, doesn't matter, it's got maintenance that you have to do.
Yeah.
So basic things like oil and coolant and belts and stuff like that. And so I always feel, in my opinion, and from what I see, is that obviously people go on that statement that this thing is bulletproof, or any of these old cars for that matter, and they never do the maintenance.
Yeah.
So by the time people like us getting cars like this that's already 27 and 30 years old, the maintenance has been so neglected. So by the time you get it, the previous owner, not in my case, but what I've seen is that then they start seeing, okay, well, obviously bills are adding up, problems, and it obviously takes time and it's a lot of effort and sourcing the parts and all that. And then they basically just say, okay, well, we're going to sell the car. So you get it, but then it needs all those things.
A lot of TLC.
A lot of TLC, yeah. And I was fine with that initially because it's something that I could live with, because it was supposed to be a project car. So if it had to stand for 3-4 months, it was fine. We still have the Amarok, we can do whatever we need to. And that was not exactly the case when we flipped over from that being a project to a daily drive.
Yeah. So what is everything you've done to the car already? Can you take us through a quick mods list?
Yeah, so...
Did you buy a stock standard? Was it standard when you got it?
It was stock standard, like in completely stock standard. So let me give a little bit of history about how I actually found this vehicle. Is so the one day I was sitting on my couch going through Instagram, and I've never met Henry or Zombie Offroad. I didn't know what it was. It popped up as a suggested account to follow. Followed that. That was about a week before. And the one Sunday evening I was sitting on the couch. It was late at night, like 10 or 11 o'clock, scrolling through, and I saw Henry put a story up on his page. So I opened the story and I saw it was a video of a black 80 series Land Cruiser in Australia doing some like hectic wheel lifts and stuff on sand dunes, and that thing it was also a FT80, so you could hear the diesel, the grunt of the diesel, and I just said yes. I couldn't help it, and I sent him a message, and I didn't even say hello, I'm Rinus, blah blah. I just said, what a flippin' awesome car.
Yeah.
Henry responded by saying, very nice cars, very rare, obviously, specifically that diesel engine, blah blah blah. The next message he sent me was, I need to make space for a new project car coming up, so I've actually got one that's going to be up for sale soon. And the rest was history.
Now I'm standing here.
Now that's it, yeah. So I bought the car from Henry from Zombie Offroad, and he taught me from the beginning that hashtag maintenance before mods. So because of it needed a little bit of maintenance. So started with that. The first thing that happened was we sold the Amarok, got the 80 series. First thing, all these specific ones, the majority of them, or I can almost go as far as to say every one of them that you'll find in SA, they're grey imports. That was the first challenge. So we
What is a grey import for those that don't know?
So grey import is a car that hasn't followed the, let's say, like the normal Toyota channels of getting cars into the country. So it was either a private import from a private company or private owner at the time that said, listen, we want that model, it's imported. So obviously when something like that happens, there's a whole bunch of admin and stuff that that you have to do and adhere to, so like import taxes and a whole bunch of other things. So when I got the car, it was already registered in SA. It had SA papers and all that, and that's what pretty much made it for me like there won't be issues.
Yeah.
I know it's a grey import, but it is already registered in South Africa.
So the paperwork's already done?
Yes. So I think that was also a green light. So went through that whole process, got the car. We pretty much couldn't drive the car on the road legally for about 3 to 4 months because that's how long it took to get it registered.
Oh, wow.
So that whole process, in short, is basically they send it to a completely different department. It's not your normal vehicle licensing department. It's called the KPA. So in Afrikaans, the Kaapse Provinsiale Administrasie.
Okay.
So for those. So they send it there, and then what they do is even though it's got legit NATIS papers and registered, they have to go and do all those checks again. So what they do is they check each and every country because it doesn't know that car came via Mozambique, that it came via Namibia, Botswana. So they literally check each and every province and individually check import taxes, did this car pass your border, was everything above board. So obviously when it got to, that's not normal for me. I mean, you buy a new car, 3 days salesman phones you, say go pick up your license plate, but there you go. So now I'm sitting there at home, and now even Henry is starting to stress because this thing takes long. So we had month 1, we had month 2, and but I mean it was just the process. And obviously you have to wait for each and every province.
South Africa after all.
That's it. So luckily that came out clean. So that was was the first big hurdle to get over, just to get it registered so we could drive it. There was 1 or 2 instances where we couldn't help ourselves, so we got in the car and we drove it to the beach, and because it was we just had to. I mean, it's like, so but further than that, it was basically it was parked, and then I was on my way to take the car to a company called Sid Customs. Now Sid Customs, because at that time I knew, listen, okay, we're going to sell the Amarok. It's not something that happened in a day. So we knew about a month before, listen, this is what we need to do. We need to, so we started stripping the Amarok and taking whatever we could transfer, like the awning, the Fregen 12-volt system. We started stripping all that out so we can basically put it up for sale. So in that time, I knew that this thing was going to become the daily driver. So when I got it from Henry, it already had the whole interior redone. So and it had a proper paint correction all around, front, rear bumpers, rims, the whole thing, chassis, all that. So it was looking pretty good.
Yeah.
And on our first drive to Malmesbury, because Sid Customs sits there, I think Dierfontein or something, but a little bit out of Malmesbury. On our way there, first trip, I tell my wife, listen, get in the car, let's take it on the first trip because we're going to drive it there.
Yeah.
So she actually said, no, she's going to drive behind me because we were supposed to take an Uber back. So no, she's going to drive behind me just for in case, because she didn't trust it. I'm like, no, it's a Land Cruiser 80 series. What's the bad worst that can happen? So we actually 10 kilometers from Malmesbury, the whole car overheated.
Oh, no.
It was like, just saw the temp gauge going, and it just went steam and all that. Pulled over to the side of the road, obviously seeing water spilling out everywhere, engine, but luckily we caught it before it did any damage. So there was no damage to the engine. And then the wife tells me to this day that we are now those kind of people. And I'm like, what kind of people? She's like, no man, the people that stands next to the road with the whole bonnet open, you just see smoke. I'm like, it's not smoke, it's steam. Yeah, but so
she was very impressed.
No, she wasn't very impressed. Yeah, so because we came now those people. But anyway, yeah, we had a big laugh about it. So what I decided to do is I decided to tow it back home, just so that myself and Henry can just go over the engine, make sure that there's no major damage, because obviously if you take the car in for a full interior, let's call it restoration, and full sound deadening and doing audio or sound upgrades and stuff, I didn't want to spend that money if the car can't drive or the engine's completely buggered. So I took it home, we gave it a quick once over and actually discovered the radiator was clogged up. So we decided, okay, it's not that massive thing. The engine still ran perfectly, all's good. Put it on a flatbed, send it back to Richard from Sid Customs. And yeah, there the car was for about 2 months. And they stripped it down completely to the bone on the interior side.
Wow.
Did a full level 3 sound deadening in it. Rockford Fosgate sound system upgrade, massive screen for CarPlay, because sometimes for my work and what I do is, it's difficult if you don't have those things. So it's like basic things. I didn't want to go and...
Basic tech.
Yeah, basically just coy it with a whole bunch of electronics. So it was basically the necessary stuff that we needed. And and that was basically, got it back from Richard and them. And that's when we started building all the other things. So yeah, look, majority of those parts, like the front bumper, that is actually Henry's bumper, his old bumper. I just put a nice Raptor coat on it. So, and we started working on all the mechanical things. So brakes. So the car had almost no brakes, so we had to do that. So it's like the rear brake calipers we had to completely restore, redo. Handbrake, it doesn't have a proper handbrake in any case.
That's a Toyota.
It's
no
a Toyota. Yeah,
but
this thing had 0 almost. Yeah, so like, and I was like, I know everybody's talking about the handbrake thing, but it's not supposed to have 0. It must at least do something. So we got working through that, and we worked through the whole cooling system. So when we decided to redo the whole radiator, all the pipes and all that, we decided to, while we're busy with it and everything is off and open, let's do water pump and thermostat. We also did the hydraulic tensioner. We did the camshaft seals. So there's a whole bunch of small little things that we also do. Stuff. Yeah, so I mean, I get it. Sometimes and I can understand that now. It's a lot of labor to get to a certain part. So sometimes while you're there, it might be a good idea to check all the other stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So working on the belief that don't touch something if it's not broken. I mean, to get to that thing again, yeah, it's a bit of a challenge. So what we try and do that. So obviously it bumps up the bill a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's worth it. And
it's going to keep the car going for much longer.
Exactly that. And I think ultimately, majority of the parts that we took out of the car, like the brake booster, the radiator, it was actually still the original factory parts.
Oh, wow.
So it had the original factory serial numbers and everything on it. So I mean, those things have been in the car for then 27 years.
Yeah.
So like it comes back to the timing thing again, where we just got it at a wrong time, where the previous person neglected it. So and that's why you have to do all these things. So ultimately, in terms of mods, not that much. It's still on the. It's got a second and 2-inch Dobinson suspension in it. It's a bit sagged at the moment, so if you go over massive bumps and stuff, sometimes the tires will hit the inside of the fenders. So we still need to get to that. Brake upgrade, terrain tamer. So we try and use as far as we can terrain tamer parts, because they're known for supplying good quality parts and parts that last, and they obviously back it up quite.
I was going to say they've got parts availability for Toyota especially.
I think there was one case where we were searching for a small little thing which they didn't have, but I mean it was 3 days, and then they got it and it was sorted. So the challenge that we do see is though that because there are so many variants of this model, and this being a grey import, it's sometimes a bit challenging to get the correct part. But like I say, I mean, you phone terrain tamer, you say, listen, okay, we got this part, doesn't fit 100%, you actually take the car through to them, because we did that about 2 or 3 times, and we just get the correct part and they sort us out immediately. So pretty much everything we replace is terrain tamer parts. And basic stuff, roof rack, the snorkel from All In 4x4. I couldn't help myself. I know there's still a lot more maintenance things that needs to be done. It's safe and it's reliable and it's driving, but there is some things that we have to sort out still.
But like you said, you just can't help yourself.
I couldn't. I mean, I can't drive live with stock. I mean, so we had to have a bumper and at least snorkel and the 35-inch tires, the roof rack, all that thing.
Does it look nice?
Yeah, it must. Yeah.
So you have got 2 kids now. You've got the son and the daughter.
Yes.
So tell me, is there any tips, because you take them camping a lot with you, bring them with on 4x4 trips and stuff like that. Is there any tips you can give for people with families who go with small kids now, for example, camping and things like that? Any tips or advice?
Yeah, so I think what I can say is that from coming back to our prior years of adventuring on the motorcycles, we were very impulsive kind of people, both myself and my wife, more me. But I'll decide now, okay, let's do a trip to Durban. So no plans, no nothing, just get on the bike, pack, go. So obviously that is something that's a bit different when you have kids. So my daughter's 4, my son is 2 at the moment. So what we try and do is to stay calm as far as possible, which is extremely difficult to do because obviously they're still growing, and I mean we're trying to get them into the lifestyle. So with my daughter being, call it a COVID baby, so they were used to being isolated and they couldn't go to school and so I think it was a bit more difficult for her, whereas my son, I mean, he's now growing up to know these things as being normal, so that's fine. So what we try and do is to also still keep a little bit of that impulsiveness, is to try and keep the camping setup as minimal as possible. So at the moment we don't have a solution for winter camping. So we've got a solution.
Blankets.
Blankets and tents, and obviously entertaining them the whole day. Because if you're sitting with just the awning in your rooftop tent, and I mean, and it's raining wherever you are the whole day, they are not staying underneath the awning the whole time. So then you let them go and they let them play, and it's mud and it's da-da-da. So to wash them off with a 40-litre front runner water tank that you have to use for about 2-3 days, if you're standing for 2-3 days, you deplete your water quite quickly. So the wild camping thing is also something we tried. We're not there yet. So for now, we try to visit camping spots that at least have basic ablutions, running water. Not so much electricity, because it's basically sorted with a car. So we've got a fridge with a lithium battery and a portable solar panel. So we sorted with that. But basically, so what we did is now in December, we took them camping to Dwarsberg, Trouthoudaway. Yes. Beautiful.
I was there recently.
Yes.
I love it. One of my favorite places.
Yeah, no, that is the spot number 1 for me so far. So what we did is I told the wife, listen, so we've got 2 camping options. So we've got one option for standing for, let's say, a week or 2 weeks. That's now a massive 10-person tent with fold-out awnings and all that. But to get that thing on the car, I firstly need to take off the tent. And that's a struggle in itself because the wife's not long enough or strong enough to help. So you need to get a friend or somebody to help. Then you need to remove the brackets. Then I've got one of these It's an Ironman weatherproof storage bag, like a luggage
Yeah,
bag
yeah.
kind of thing, that you put on top of the roof rack, strap it in there. So what I do is I take, it's an Austral 10-person, that fancy Lumos 10 thing. So I basically have to take it out of its bag, and you have to put all the components individually on top of the cruiser in that Ironman bag, along with sleeping bags and
Yeah.
mattresses and da-da-da. So it's a bit of a task, but at least all those things are then basically on top of the roof, and we still have all the space inside the car to do the rest of the packing. So that's then something that we'll set up for, like, let's say we set it 5 days longer, because then it makes it worth it. But what we've seen is so, I mean, especially within our friends group, I mean, you'll get a call saying, listen, we're camping Saturday, do you want to join? You know, you don't have time to plan and do all that. And now that little impulsiveness thing starts going, yeah, I want to go. But you think about the kids. So what we did at Dwarsberg is we said, let's just do it. So we'll take the rooftop tent. We had I think it's a 4-person Camp Master, one of these cheap tents. We took that with, and obviously everything in the car. So camped with a rooftop tent and the 4-person ground tent. So what we did is we swapped. So the one evening it will be myself and my daughter in the rooftop, my wife and my son in the ground tent, and the next night we swapped, and that worked perfectly. Okay, obviously perfect weather, so there's no rain and all that, and that worked. Yes, and they enjoyed it.
You were camping at the riverside, or were you up at the 4x4?
No, that was riverside.
Riverside.
Yeah,
so we play in the water. And
yes,
the river.
look, it's generally a challenge to get space there. Yeah. So we were actually going with a whole bunch of other friends that had one of these. So they normally let you know there's a cancellation, so you have to jump on it. And he jumped on it, but now they've got a minimum amount of people that needs to join. So you can't go stand one car there.
Oh, you can, but then you're going to pay a lot.
Exactly. Yeah, because then you basically pay for, if they say minimum
4 people for 4.
Yes. So we did that. So we were invited, and so we stayed next to the river, and that was next level. So the kids played in the river the whole day. I mean, we had that perfect, how can I say, YouTube scene with the awning being open, and you've got your towels and everything hanging within the awning so you can dry it out. It was one of our best camping experiences yet with a kid. So that's now our go-to.
Yeah, so that follows my next question is, what's your favorite kid-friendly or child-friendly camping site?
I'll definitely say Dwarsberg, Draadhaven. Yeah, no, they do cater for everything there. It's safe. They've got the whole river to play in. It's massive open spaces, so we took the little scooters or bikes with, so they could ride that around the whole day.
It's close to Cape Town.
It's close to Cape Town. It's in Rossonville area, so the weather there is almost 3-4 degrees. Yeah. Better than what it is here in Durbanville. So that is also nice. The Ablution's great. Yeah, so definitely a place that I'll recommend, especially for kids. Nice. We still want to do the 4x4 camp.
So the 4x4, I was there recently. The 4x4 camp is a bit more, there's nothing around you.
Yeah.
You've got your campsite, there's very nice ablutions, there is a little shelter for like this, a roof over your head, but there's just bush around you then. So for kids, they can go play in the bushes, I guess, but there isn't...
Yeah, and you've got the hot tubs, they've most, I think, got
the hot tubs. They've got the cool hot tubs. So, but I wouldn't do that for 5 days, because I think they'll get a bit bored. The river, like you said, they can go up and down. There's more space there than the 4x4 campsites. But the 4x4 campsite is very nice for a weekend trip or whatever the case may be. It's much more private, and the view from there is also incredible. Yeah,
no. We went up there the last time we were there. We were actually there in winter when we camped with our 10-person tent. That was our first camping night with the kids in the 10-person tent. It was in winter, and we had a quick drive up there. And then that's what we also said. I mean, it's, you go, maybe we'll try it for, let's say, like a day or two, this is like a two night. Because if you drive up there and we set up the whole rooftop tent and all that, you have to drive down to get to the riverside where the kids and everything can play. So that means packing up everything.
Yeah, especially with the rooftop.
Yeah, closing the rooftop, doing all that. And now you sit with, you do all that other effort I explained earlier to put your big 10-person tent on for 2 evenings. So I think that'll be a mommy and dad or a friend outing or something like that for now. For the short trip. Camp. Yeah, short trip, yeah.
So tell me, where did your social media channels start? Why did you start them, and when did you start them?
So basically, look, I'm in IT, so basically that means that we are spending a lot of time behind our computers. It is a bit of I'm not going to call it a high profile job, but it's got definite responsibilities and stuff that we need to do and that we need to nurture every day. So it does become a bit tiring, especially on the technology side of things. So I decided to find something to get a bit of a creative outlet. So that's pretty much what it is. So the drive for my social media pages and my channels is not to make it a full day thing one day to do full-time travel, because I think there's a bit of a misconception when it comes to stuff like that as well. So in my opinion, obviously it looks lovely. I mean, you're doing it. Yeah, so it looks great. I mean, I'm sitting on a Tuesday morning in my office, and then I see you sitting at Dwarsberg, like, yeah. But I think on the flip side is, especially when you have a family and all that, so obviously that requires a lot of traveling. It requires a lot of time away from home.
It's work in the end of the day.
It's work, yeah. So obviously it's got much better perks, but I mean, it's in terms of where you travel, what you get to see, and you get to experience all these things. So I think that was the main decision for me. So if I'm going to decide to do that, obviously it's going to take away time from my kids and my family, which is something I didn't want to do. But I started getting into the whole videography and photos and all that, which is something I actually didn't think I was ever going to like. But when you have to photograph these things, I mean, it's like you can't help yourself. So I started with a phone and I just take photos and all that, post photos. And what happened was I joined my first club outing. I was part of the VW Amarok Offroad Club here in Cape Town. They did a 4x4 day at, what's it called, Helderberg, 4x4, way like 3 years ago. And I just took my phone with, and I took a few photos. I think I took one video straight up, like, and so it wasn't all those landscape thing. It was just, so I took the video and I got home and I just decided to just put it into a video, put some music and everything, and then actually looked out. Well, it's quite nice, as nice as a video can be with just photos. So, and that's basically when I started YouTube thing. So, because now I make all these videos, and I think getting back to drones and stuff like that, it's the same thing. So people think, okay, I want a drone. It's awesome. And it is nice owning a drone and getting all these beautiful shots. But at the end of the day, you need to remember there's no audio on drones. I mean, you can switch it on, but it's like you just hear the
propellers in the wind.
Exactly. So what do you do with that footage? Now you took a beautiful shot of a sunset or whatever over a mountain, but what do you do with it? And that's how the whole YouTube thing and everything started for me as well. Because I mean, now you can build it into a story. You can document your travel and the amazing things that you've seen, put some music and everything. It just changes the whole vibe. So for me, it was literally just a creative outlet. It is still today. If something happens in the future, look, we'll never know, but that's definitely not the drive. And that's why the posting is sometimes delayed. Because if I do one trip, I need to get enough content to keep me going for about 3 months, because I'm going to work for 3 months till I'm able to do it again. So I have to be very cautious of how often I post, because obviously you get home and you just want to post. You got that perfect West Coast sunset with a car rooftop tent open and you just want to post, but I have to, and I think that's what I like. I enjoy it. And obviously the community, it brought me into your community, everybody else's community, and I met all these amazing people. The thing that we didn't mention about moving down to Cape Town is we've got no family here. So all the family and every like all the uncles, so we are literally here alone. I've got my my wife's brother, so my brother-in-law, they staying in Cape. They also moved down pretty much in the same time, so we've got them. But literally, apart from that, it's no friends, no nothing. So I think within this community, it's not just the socials. It got us into this whole.
That's cool.
The
friend circle,
the
and
friend
community,
circle,
off-road scene.
And I mean now we're buddies, and we can do we do some awesome shit together. But sorry.
No, that's good. That's true. That's how we met, I think, through socials.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I saw you the first time. What was it that Paul Greiling fundraiser?
Oh yes.
That was the first time. So I already knew about you, and but that's when I first saw you and Emma and Hannes and I don't think Henry wasn't there.
No, he wasn't there.
No.
It was a big 4x4 gathering organised by 4x4 Viewfinder, Adrian from 4x4 Viewfinder.
That's it.
He's got a show now, something.
Stoffpad.
Sweet.
Yes.
And he organised that trip, and that's where we all came together, and I got to learn a lot of new people at that thing as well.
Yeah, yes.
So going over with socials, I did post a little thing on my Instagram where everyone could ask questions for you. So let's go through some of those questions. If Snyder wants to know, how much did you purchase the vehicle for, and how much have you spent on maintenance?
Okay, so I purchased the vehicle for 250,000. It was a bit of a challenge because these kind of cars, well, the age of the car means that you can't finance it. So I was always used to financing the cars, but you can't finance a car that's older than 10 years. So you had to buy it cash. So in that time when it happened, when I sold my Amarok, basically we made enough money from selling the Amarok to basically purchased the car. So that helped us out quite a bit. And on maintenance, yeah, look, I'd say it's...
I don't keep track of my maintenance.
No. I lost track. I think I kept like the first 3 items, and I was like having an Excel spreadsheet with all the items, costs and everything, and I just stopped because I mean at the end of the day that's not why we.
Yeah, if you do that, then you're not going to enjoy the game.
If you're going to have a problem with maintenance or even the consumption on the car, I mean it's
How much kilometers has this car got?
It's now sitting on 366,000. Yeah.
366.
Yeah. So I bought it at 357 and it's now 366.
So still fresh for you.
Yeah. Very fresh.
So Zombie Offroad wants to know.
Henry.
Explain what happened to the rear bumper and when is it being upgraded?
Okay, so there's one liner there. Less bumper equals more speed.
That's less weight reduction.
Less weight, more speed, it's more aerodynamic. Yeah, that's it, yeah. And well, when we're getting a replacement bumper is when he starts building it.
I was going to say, we can throw the question back at him.
Yeah. So when you're going to start building the bumper, Henry, then we'll get it on it.
We see your car, your 80's got a new bumper and it looks good.
Yeah, that thing looks spot on.
Yeah, it does.
That's proper.
Ross Newby wants to know, what mods have you done? Okay, we've kind of touched on it already.
Yeah, we can basically do a quick summary. So that's the awning, the roof rack, so we did the snorkel and the 35-inch tires. We're also running the new caster correction plates from Henry from Zombie Offroad. That made a massive difference.
I know Gershwin also put that in now recently.
That's it, yeah.
So it made a big difference.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a must. So we did that. A couple of spotlights at the back and not really that much on the exterior spotlights. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think the majority of the work is the stuff that you can't see, like the interior, like the sound deadening and the seat covers and stuff like that. That's all stuff hidden behind all the panels and stuff. But I must say, that's like, it drives like a proper
modern car.
It's a modern car inside. Yeah.
Nice. Werner de Toy wants to know, wanneer sien ons 'n rig rundown of the 80?
Oh, varies. Whenever I can start getting over my fear of cameras. Yeah. So
you say while sitting on camera.
Yeah. But this is completely different. I think I must ask you to join me next time when I try and shoot stuff like that. It's so let's just say I've tried shooting that video 3 or 4 times already. You'll never see that footage. Nah. There's also one from the Amarok, but you'll never see that.
Troopy in Africa wants to know, and this is the same with touching on the kids. Do the kids always go camping, and where does everyone sleep?
Okay, so they don't always go camping. It depends on what kind of camp it is. First of all, wild camp. We don't do wild camp yet. We're not geared for wild camp. Also depending which time of year, like if we take our Terrain Time Expo event we had last year, the Tank so that was when we had that massive cold front and all that.
Yeah, that was cold.
Yeah, it was very cold. And I mean, the kids are still small, so...
were they there? No, they weren't there.
No, they weren't there, no. So, but I mean, it also helps, don't take it up the wrong way, but if we get to that point and we feel like, listen, we need to have... Everybody needs their space. So actually my wife's wonderful when it comes to stuff like that. So she lets me go. She'll say, listen, make it a boys' weekend, go enjoy it, and then she'll take the kids around, take them either to the beach or whatever. Like I say, depending on the weather. But we don't always take them. The plan is to get to a point where, whether it's wild camp, whether it's winter, it's obviously a difficult task fitting everything in the car and obviously the whole setup for all kinds of conditions. So that's basically.
Then Troop in Africa also wants to know, what do you do for a living?
So like I said before, I am in IT. So that's basically what I do. So I know IT is a very broad field because you get software developers, you get solutions architects. So basically I'm an infrastructure specialist. So it's that kind of thing of jack of all trades, master of none. I'm master of about 2 things which I'm very good at.
The full saying of that is jack of all trades, master of none, but still better than the master of one.
I've never heard that.
There you go. That's the full saying.
I'll remember that. Okay, I'll remember that. Yeah, because we normally don't add the last bit, but that's actually quite true. So that's basically, it's touching on cybersecurity, network security. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So IT.
IT.
Troopy in Africa also wants to know is, do you have any plan to change the Land Cruiser, or what future mods are you looking to do? I think I'm assuming he's asking is what other mods you're doing, or if he's asking if you're going to change from this to something else.
Yeah, yes. No, I think so. So that'll never happen. Okay, so everybody that knows me will know that that'll become my coffin one day, unless Henry said, okay, I must at least give him first option. So
Yeah.
if something happens to me, he needs to have the first option. But I think
I'm sure he doesn't. He have that already with you?
yeah, but between him and my wife, I think they're going to bump fists, yeah, because the kids are going to want to have it. But in any
True.
case, so yeah, future plans. We don't want to go too hectic. When I initially bought it, you just see 4-inch suspension lifts, and you see these massive. And I mean, we briefly discussed it before. It's when you're doing 4x4 and you're basically top heavy, the whole coil sprung suspension setup is completely different. So going 4 inches, and look, it's good for photos and it's good, but that's not why I build a car. It's not to make pretty photos. It does already, but that's not the drive behind it. So I think nothing major. Definitely we'll have to sort out the suspension. So thinking about I think maximum 3-inch lift, Henry said. We're looking at importing something, so that's a bit of a hint.
Challenge.
So, yeah, it's challenge, and so we're busy working on something.
Nice.
So that we're going to do an import of. And what we're definitely going to try and do is work on the performance. Look, it's not performing bad at the moment, but there's a lot more in it. And there's a whole bunch of guys, like especially Australia and countries like that. I mean, they get a lot more power, safe, reliable power out of these vehicles. So that's why the upgrades that we do, we try and replace, like I said, with heavy duty parts, so bigger radiators. Actually, the radiator that's in there is one that Henry himself designed.
Oh, okay.
And he had it manufactured, and we put it in, and yes, but I need to drive about 50 kilometers now just to get the thermostat to open. So it's working proper. So there's no more cooling issues in that thing, that I can tell you. But so we're doing all those upgrades in preparation for if we're going to go bigger turbo. And play with the fuel injection a little bit and give it a bit more fuel and boost and all that. So I think we'll end up close to between 250 and 300 horsepower, give or take,
Yeah.
And about 500 plus Newton meters of torque. So
That's good. What size tires are you running? Those are 35s?
Yeah, 35. So those are 315, 75 R16s.
Okay.
So yeah.
Then my final question for you is, explain us the story of how about your door in the few weeks of getting
I thought
the car.
you forgot about that.
No, I won't ever forget about that.
No, yes. Okay, so the whole door story. So for everybody out there, okay, so we spoke about the Land Cruiser or Toyota in general, where the handbrakes are not working that well. Okay, we knew that. Henry gave me the heads up when I drove that car away that evening when I picked it up. He said, don't trust the handbrake. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I won't. So our house has got, in front of my garage, has got a little bit of a slope. You can't even call it a slope. It's like literally. Anyway, so we got home from the beach the one day. So we parked the car in the driveway. Kids are both sleeping. Now we're busy unpacking the car. Doors open, kids are sleeping, nada. Took the kids out, and so I opened my door, the driver's side door. I think I got my phone out, and I left the door open, and I was at the back busy taking all the cooler boxes and stuff out. Now, while doing that, it shook the car a little bit. So it just moved a little bit for the handbrake to go, okay, I'm just going to...
The weight probably as well.
Yeah. So it didn't move much. I think it was like 1.5 meters. So it didn't like go down the street. It literally just went... And I got such a fright standing behind the car, and I got out of my way, and I forgot my driver's side door was open. So the driver's side door got stuck in the palisade, and it basically bent the whole door. I mean, that's now 2 days after owning it. You know? So, and it
Within
bent,
the first week of owning it.
Yeah, and it was in, I think it was the 17th or the 18th of December. So everybody was already
closing.
Yeah, it looks like they were all closed, and so. But okay, it bent the whole door. It actually bent the whole A-pillar in front, the hinge, everything was bent. So I actually found a company. So what's it? Mornay from Big Red Adventures.
Oh yes.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
All-terrain service centre, I think it's called in
That's it.
Hermanus.
That's it. Yes. So his brother Rinus, he's got a panel beating shop that basically works on panel beating cars and electronics and stuff. So he made a little arrangement for this. So Rinus and them actually assisted me just to get the door to close, so that it doesn't stand open the whole time. So for that whole December, I had to get in through the passenger side. The door story. But like, I mean, coming back to those things once again. So now that door. So I've got a bent door. I need to find a new one. So put a post up on Facebook. So there was a guy actually from Rossonville or Robertson, can't remember. Anyway, says he's got me all door with glass, all the mechanisms, all the cladding, everything in place, $1,500.
Wow.
And he even brought it to my house.
Jeez.
I was like, look, it was silver. So it was from a silver 80 series. I took it to Rinus and them. They just color matched it and
Fixed.
sorted, yeah. So
Wow.
I mean, I got a for giggles. I got a quote on my wife's car, the VW T-Cross. A door is 66,000 baht.
Jeez,
If
just
you have
the door.
just the door with all the magnets, the window, all the electronics and stuff's about 66,000.
Wow. Compared to
$1,500, and there's 3 screws, and you just have to make sure that your engine, your locking mechanism lines up, and then you're good to go.
Jeez, that's incredible. Yeah, cool. Thank you for your time. That was a good chat. We learned a lot about the AT and your
Thank you, Dieter.
transition into it. And yeah, we'll call it at that.
Thank you so much, Dieter. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on the channel, and thanks, guys, for tuning in. I hope I taught you something today, and that and that there's not too many laughs. But yeah, so thank you, Dieter. Appreciate it.
So he's Soul Fuel Offroad on Instagram, YouTube.
Just Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys can go check him out there. He's got some nice videos over there. We'll probably do some more trips this year along the line somewhere.
Definitely.
And then if you guys like the content, please give me a like. Let me know in the comments if you have any more questions. I'll let him check out the comments as well. If you guys have any more questions about his AT, he'll answer them below. And then we'll see you guys on the next podcast or the next adventure.
Ja.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cool, dankie.
Lekker. Ek wil nog iets gesê het, man.
Wil jy sê dan as dit insit?
Ek wil iets gepraat het van die verskil oor die 4x4 vir my tussen die Amarok en die AT. Ek het dit heeltemal vergeet
Okay, maar
om te
kom ons doen
mention.
dit. Wil jy nou doen?
Ja, maar waar gaan jy dit insit?
Ek sit dit nou in. Ons gaan aan.
Wat is dit?
Ja.
Gaan ons net so aan?
Ja.
Wag, ek wil nog iets sê.
That's all right. Okay, let's go.
Okay.
So, what you can say that actually that was one of our questions as well is what is the difference between the Amarok and the AT 4x4? It's dedicated 4x4 wise.
Okay. So look, there's a lot of controversial discussions regarding the Amarok not being a proper 4x4 because it doesn't have low range, specifically the V6 model, the one that I had. So for me, when I started learning how to 4-wheel drive, I started with the Amarok. So that was my 4x4, and I started with all the buttons and all the driving aids that you get. And it was actually here at All Terrain on this very obstacle I did my first 4x4 experience training.
For those who don't know, this is a 4x4 training facility.
Oh yes, yes.
And a 4x4 route, but they majority focus on 4x4 training.
Yes. So obviously when you start learning how to 4-wheel drive and you've got all those driving aids, and it was automatic as well, it wasn't as difficult. And for me, everything up to a point that basically I pushed it pretty far in terms of obstacles and what it can and can't do. So I definitely found the limits of not having full low range or proper low range. So I had a few gearbox overheat warnings in my time owning it and all that. But I mean, you nurture it as you go on. But now the transitioning going from that car over to the 80 series, that was something that was extremely difficult because you basically have to learn how to properly drive 4x4. Because in my opinion, the 4-wheel driving we did in the Amarok wasn't the same, and that wasn't actually proper. Yeah, you still have to do wheel placement, you still have to pick the correct lines, but you've got so many safety features that you don't worry about rolling backwards, rolling off a mountain. You don't worry about the car going too fast down a slope and you're going to lose control because it's got all those driving aids that's automatically doing all those things for you to protect you. And it's nice for when you do it with a family, and when I had my kids in the back, I mean, because you're pretty much like, there's not too much that can go wrong. In the majority of situations, the car will protect you. So now this thing, it's not the same. No, it's not the same at all. So the massive difference is, firstly, none of those driving aids, there's nothing in that car. You've got 2 sticks, 3 pedals, steering wheel, and it's all you. So that's why when I started 4-wheel driving, even though these things are extremely capable, I mean, we all know that.
Yeah.
So now you start doing 4x4 trails in this vehicle and you don't have any of those things. I didn't do training on this, on how to properly do 4-wheel driving with a manual car, and I mean, it doesn't even have any lockers in. This is the model that's got it actually came out with a limited slip diff, but that thing doesn't, it's not limited anymore, it just doesn't exist. So there's
just a slip diff now.
It's just a slip diff, that's all it does. Yeah, so it just basically goes, so that was a big thing for me, is to get used to how to do proper 4-wheel driving, and that's proper wheel placement first. Like I said, no diff lock, no driving aids, nothing that will automatically brake for you. And you learn things like going into low range, putting it in first gear and try to, brake it on using the engine to brake,
and not
basically
stepping on the clutch.
That's it, because then you can maybe roll it.
Yeah.
Like I did, a Tierkloof almost, So I had that fright where it was going a little bit too fast for me, and out of nowhere I just pressed the clutch and the brake, and I mean the back wheels locked up, and it just went all that way, just went, and I even twisted the steering wheel as well, and it was in a ditch. So we literally ended up doing this
Yeah.
with myself and my wife. Luckily, not the kids.
Yes.
So I specifically left the kids at home for that day because I knew this is going to be like our first.
Proper hardcore.
So luckily I did that. Yeah. So I do get some people, but in a jokey way, laugh at me saying, "Yeah, it's an 80 series. Look, you can't even get up there." I mean, what's it? So for me, that's basically, I think, the thing that I wanted to emphasize. It's two completely different worlds.
Yeah.
What I must say is it's a lovely touring vehicle. It slowed me down. Look, the Amarok was tuned. It had a full exhaust system on it. I think it made like 235 kilowatts.
Jeez.
So it was
stock they make 200 or 195.
Yeah, exactly. So that was it was fast. So usually you'll go on a drive and then an hour into a drive the kid will start screaming or just get difficult or whatever, and you just want to get to your destination, so you punch it. You don't have this option or that option in this car. So it actually, what I like about it is it actually slowed me down. Because I mean, from my dad and family, so whoever, they always said I've got a thing for going fast. That's why I had super bikes as well. In between all the adventure things, I had super bikes. So both myself and my wife, we used to doing 285 on a super bike, on the highway. So that's nothing. So yeah, the 80 series actually slowed me down, and I actually get to see things. I mean, I went to the tank the other day. I saw things there. I mean, I was there for 3, 4, 5 times. I didn't see those things. I'm like, Henry, when did they build these things? I'm like, good, those things have been there for like 30 years. So, and that's what I quite like. So I think, I just wanted to also add that, because that was the most question that I ever get asked, especially on my socials, is how is it different? And is it really that much of a difference?
No, it's a big difference.
It's
basically going from a car to a 4x4. Amarok is a car. It drives like a car. It feels like a car. It's a high-rise car, so to say. I've driven a lot of them. I've driven the new ones. I've driven a lot of cars before, so I can see that comparison between the two. And at the end of the day, I'll always go back into an older car because I just enjoy it more. Yes. Same with you saying about the slowing down. That's one thing I also do. A lot of people ask me, why is my fuel consumption so good? It's not good, but for my car, it's good. I drive slow. I drive 100, highways, 100.
Yeah, I've seen that actually.
Everywhere, I drive 100.
So the first time we did that trip together to Collersdorp, I was feeling nervous because like, Dieter, I can only do like 100 or whatever, that's with my safe. And we were like, no, that's good. We're all, and I was like, yeah, we just go 100, 110.
It's just cruising, and then you get to see the place around you. You stop at a pot stall here, you get something there. You stop at all these nice places, and that's part of it. It's the journey there. It's not just a race to the destination. You get there and you camp there for 3 days, or you get to your campsite at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and now what do you do?
Exactly.
You take the whole day. You drive, that car is, we drove the whole day, I think. We drove from the morning till, I think, 6 o'clock afternoon.
Yeah, we did that whole route, VW Amarok, and some back roads and everything.
Yeah, but that was nice. We drove rustig all the way through. Yes. We stopped and had a little braai next to the side of the road, or like a little gas cook-off. That's just part of it. It's like the journey is part of it. You drive slow, you look at the scenery, look at the mountains, you enjoy the road. We love back roads, so we try and find all the back roads we can get.
And I think actually, that route to Collersdorp, that's the route that I showed you.
Yes.
That was a new for me. I actually thought I was never going to be able to show you anything in terms of which routes to take or whatever.
That was completely new to me. We went through Anaisberg. Is it that area?
Yeah. So it's through what's it called? Montague.
Okay.
So it's just as you exit Montague, there's a little road that you turn left into, and that basically becomes a gravel road. So you take
it through the mountains, and you come out near after Barrydale.
Yeah, it's after Barrydale, yeah.
Yeah, gravel road all the way.
All the way, yeah. And I think it's like literally 1 left and 2 rights, and then you literally drop into VW Amarok.
So somewhere in that area, we missed it. And that farmer, remember there's a farmer that stopped us and said, we must drive this road. It's a nicer road.
Yes.
I drove it the other day by chance. I was driving from Swellendam to Sutherland. And then same thing, I look on my maps, it's like, okay, cool, this way is a gravel road. Let's see where this goes. Start driving down it, about 45 minutes drive, I get to this massive gate with a guy standing with a gun there, and I was like, oh, okay, this is private property. Like, you can see it's a game farm. It's massive fences, massive gates. Like, okay, this is probably some other game farm. We probably have to pay to go through, whatever the case may be. I just drive to the gates, and I asked him. He opened my window, and he comes to me. He's like, "Are you going to Barrydale area, or where are you going? Barrydale or the other town?" I was like, "No, I'm going that direction." He's like, "Oh, okay, cool. Just fill in this form, and you can go." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, no, it's a through road." So there's a private nature reserve, I can't remember the name now, that you can drive in that area. It was very close. I think we probably just skirted it.
Yeah, it was,
so I ended up driving through it. So it's a private game reserve. The rules are you're not allowed to stop at all. You're not allowed even to stop to take pictures because then they think you're poaching. It's a very, very strict private game farm. But you can drive through it. You can use it as a through road. I think there's 4 exits or something. so you can come
Yes.
from all the different directions and use it to cut through.
And was it as beautiful as that farmer said
No,
it? Because he like said we're gonna literally there's like a bucket list thing.
It's
that you
alright.
have to do.
Maybe the road I didn't drive wasn't the one. It's cool to drive through there, like you in the middle of in the bush. It feels
Yes.
like you're in the middle of Africa. Meanwhile, between Sutherland and Swellendam.
Yes.
So that's nice, but I think the roads we drove were nicer between the mountains and stuff like that. That is more open landscape around you.
Yes, yeah, and I think that's why the farmer said specifically, even the road that we took, it was beautiful, and it also had lots of scenery. And I think it was it before winter, after winter?
It was
Because I remember it being a lot. The road
It was sort of
wet.
midwinter. It was Augustish around there.
Because we got a lot of like puddles and that one river that we had to
Yeah.
cross.
Yeah.
So
It was just after winter,
yes.
but still, yeah.
And you were the lucky one to walk through the river.
Yeah, the very long
The flippin'
flooded
cold
river. Cool.
Thanks, Dieter.
So yeah, thank you very much. I
Yes.
think that is it now.
That's it. Yeah, thanks, Dieter.
Cool. So thank you for listening.
Yes.
Cheers.
Cheers.